This is Harvey Weinstein. You're probably already aware of what he's accused of and why he's currently in jail. Film mogul Weinstein is in prison based on the allegations of just two people, Miriam Haley and Jessica Mann, even though dozens of women, a whopping 87, have spoken out about the sexual abuse they've experienced. In 2018, Weinstein was charged with rape, committing a criminal sex act, sexual abuse, and sexual misconduct. His producer was also being investigated for sex crimes by investigators in California and London. Weinstein was ordered to wear an ankle monitor before he went to trial, after posting $1 million in bail money. He was later charged with first-degree rape in the first and third degrees, a first-degree criminal sexual act, and other felony sexual charges. Throughout the entire time, Weinstein denied the charges and indicated that the women were willing participants in his sexual conquest. His spokeswoman reportedly said at one point during the investigation that any allegations of non-consensual sex are unequivocally denied by Mr. Weinstein. He was found guilty of committing a criminal sexual act against Haley and raping her in the third degree. He was found not guilty of rape in the first degree and sexual assault against Mann. Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in prison and will be on the sex offender registry for the rest of his life. This is R. Kelly, another popular celebrity who is now behind bars. His actions and accusations have now become so popular, singer R. Kelly was arrested by the feds on July 11, 2019 in Chicago. Reports from all over have confirmed that he and a few others allegedly recruited young girls for sexual encounters, kept them away from their families and controlled them so they wouldn't ask for help. Kelly was indicted in a U.S. District Court in New York City and in a Chicago court. He was also accused of bribing witnesses and victims in a 2008 child pornography trial. The trial dates in New York were pushed back because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Kelly was in a Chicago federal jail awaiting trial when he was attacked by a member of the Latin King gang. During the incident, Farmer beat the singer while he was in bed, and Kelly reportedly sustained a serious concussion. In June 2022, Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison for his sex trafficking conviction, while in September, he was found guilty of producing child pornography. His attorneys requested that the sentence be limited to 11 years. This is Brian Grantham, a young Canadian actor who once had a lot of promise, but made a terrible mistake that cost him everything. He appeared in over 40 movies and TV shows during his relatively brief acting career. His acting debut was in the 2007 television movie The Secret of the Nutcracker, which was followed by a role in the big-budget sci-fi film Jumper in 2008. Grantham was seen in a variety of other film and TV projects before appearing in some higher-profile movies, such as Little Anton in Terry Gilliam's The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, and Rodney James in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. The rest of Grantham's career largely consisted of TV shows such as iZombie, Supernatural, and Riverdale, his final acting credit. However, Grantham's promising career in Hollywood ended tragically when he shot his mother in the back of the head on March 31, 2020. Grantham made a video confession after his crime and even planned to kill Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He decided against it, ultimately turning himself over to the authorities the following day. Grantham was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 14 years. His attorney, Chris Johnson, recently revealed that the imprisoned actor advised him that he's doing well, getting the help he needs, and has gained some insight into what happened and why. He regrets what he did to his mother. This is Julian Assange, an Australian publisher and activist who founded the WikiLeaks website in 2006. He published several secret and confidential US documents regarding the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, as well as the 2016 presidential election. In November 2010, the Swedish government issued an arrest warrant for Assange for sexual assault. He was granted bail pending an extradition hearing to Sweden after surrendering to the police in London. He was granted asylum by Ecuador, and he lived at the Ecuadorian embassy in London from 2012 to 2019. The Swedish case was later dismissed due to a lack of evidence. The Ecuadorian government withdrew their asylum in 2019, and Assange was arrested for breaching the Bail Act and sentenced to 50 weeks in prison. September 2019 was the end of his prison term. Despite numerous pleas for his release from numerous prominent people and organizations, he remains incarcerated at HM Prison Belmarsh in London. In June 2022, Home Secretary Priti Patel approved his extradition to the United States to face charges. Assange has appealed his decision. His lawyers are still trying to get him released. This is Nathaniel Glover, aka Kid Creole. Many may recognize him as the founding member of the hip-hop group Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Glover, 61, was arrested in 2017 and charged with murder in the second degree after stabbing a man named John Jolly in the chest. According to reports, Glover and Jolly, a registered sexual offender, had an altercation in Midtown Manhattan. Glover wanted to tell his side of the story during an interview in March 2021. He has previously been accused of being homophobic, but instead he acted in self-defense and disputed reports that he had problems with the LGBTQ community. Glover said he was just doing his own thing when Jolly chased him and seemed to have bad intentions. Glover initially assumed that Jolly was trying to pick him up before the latter began to follow him. He explained that he was suffering, locked in a room 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, day in, day out, not knowing what his fate was going to be because his case was dragging on. It wasn't until 2022 that Glover went to trial, where he was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 16 years in prison. This is Allison Mack. She started acting when she was young, appearing in 1989's Police Academy 6, City Under Siege, which you might recognize her from, before she was even a teenager. From then on, she appeared in numerous television shows and movies, with the occasional appearance on the big screen. Mack played Jenny Zielinski in Disney's direct-to-video movie Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. She then played Nicole Jacob in the popular show Seventh Heaven. Soon after, she did a lot of voice acting work, including roles in The Ant Bully and Superman Batman Public Enemies. However, her biggest and most famous gig was playing Chloe Sullivan in Smallville, a role that received her 2 Teen Choice Awards as well as various other nominations. Mack's acting career ended in 2018 when she was arrested for her part in the self-help sex cult NXIVM. According to reports, Mack recruited young women to be sex slaves for Keith Raniere, who led the cult. She was ultimately charged with sex trafficking, among other crimes. In 2021, the actress pleaded guilty and was given 2 3-year sentences, which she will serve at the same time. As part of her punishment, Mack must pay $20,000 and will be placed on probation for another 3 years after she has served her time in the Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California. This is Daystar Shemuel Shua Peterson, better known as Tory Lanez. The rapper first garnered widespread attention with the release of his 2013 mixtape, Conflicts of My Soul, The 416 Story. 3 years later, Lanez signed to Benny Blanco's record label, Mad Love Records and Interscope Records, and released his first full-length album, I Told You. Its success was largely due to hit singles Say It and Love, which received a Grammy Award nomination for Best R&B Song. Lanez's popularity continued into 2018 with 2 more albums, Memories Don't Die and Love Me Now. The album of his that ranked highest on the Billboard 200 chart was 2019's Chicks Tape 5, which came in at number 2. However, what started out as a successful career as a hip-hop and R&B artist was cut short when in 2020, Lanez shot popular recording artist Megan Thee Stallion with an unregistered semi-automatic firearm, leaving her with minor injuries. Upon his conviction, Lanez was found guilty of multiple charges and could face up to 22 years in prison. Jose Baez, his defense attorney, revealed that due to the celebrity nature of the trial, mistakes were made during the proceedings, which could tip the scale in favor of winning an appeal. Tory is facing 22 years in prison for 3 felony firearms violations. He's scheduled to be sentenced in April 2023. This is Aaron Hernandez. He was an American professional football player with the New England Patriots. During the 2013 offseason, Hernandez was arrested and charged with murdering Lloyd, a semi-professional player who was dating Hernandez's fiance's sister. After his arrest, Hernandez was immediately released by the Patriots. The Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center found him guilty of first-degree murder in 2015 and sentenced him to life without the possibility of parole. While on trial for Lloyd's murder, Hernandez was also charged with the 2012 double homicide of Danielle de Abreu and Zafiro Furtado, which he was acquitted of all charges after a 2017 trial. Hernandez was found dead in his cell, which was ruled a suicide after he was acquitted of the double homicide. After an appeal from prosecutors and Lloyd's family, his conviction for Lloyd's murder was reinstated in 2019. His conviction was initially vacated under the doctrine of abatement ab initio, which is a common law legal doctrine stating that the death of a defendant who is appealing a criminal conviction vacates the conviction because Hernandez died during appeal, which has prompted speculations over how the condition may have affected his behavior.